Alexander starts to pull Elena into an embrace. She screams. Her expression changes into one of frustration, rage, even horror. She pushes Alexander away, begs for it to stop, for Hakon to stop tormenting her. She refuses to believe that Alexander is real, convinced that this is just another hallucination caused by Hakon. Alexander sits by her side, trying to remain calm, trying to get through to her. Yoren leaves Alexander and the various tormented priests. It's a terrible situation, but he has to keep his wits and priorities about him. Fortunately, Gunnar has taken charge, already had them cut free from the shore, and the rowers are rowing them away as quickly as possible. The Svards try to give chase, but Hakon's ship is faster, with more rowers, and the Svards are disorganized without established lines of communication. They pull ahead of the other ships and rapidly lose them in the darkness and the open waters of the bay. Down below, Alexander is trying to get through to Elena. Hubert joins him and begins trying to assess the health of Elena and the other Tarathi priests. They're all delirious, tormented, the same as Elena. One of them snaps, tries to kill Alexander. Alexander just lets the poor, emaciated man bounce feebly off his breastplate, and gently pulls him into something that's half a grapple, half a hug. He holds him until the man's strength leaves him. He wants to take out his sword and burn out the Svardic magic clouding the minds of the priests and Elena, but burning out Svardic magic hurts. And it seems to hurt worse the deeper the magic has infected the target. It came close to killing Bayard Kamarski, and the priests seem deeply affected, not to mention their poor health. Hubert does what he can to stabilize the priests, and gives them mild sedatives. And Alexander sits with Elena, quietly reaffirming her of his presence, and that she has been truly rescued. She still bounces between desperate hope and terrified disbelief. Gunnar steers the ship around to the rocky beach where the rest of Steelshod and the Sons are waiting with Hakon. They embark, and Gunnar charts a course hugging the coast up north. Steelshod and the Sons start relieving the beleaguered thralls on the oars. Yoren explains to the thralls that they are all free, but until they put serious distance between them and the rest of the Svardic fleet, they are not safe. Agrippa is quickly brought below to treat the Tarathi priests. Agrippa tries to nurse them back to health. They eventually decide that they must burn out the Svardic magic. It gets worse before it gets better. One of the priests takes a turn for the worse and doesn't pull through. But Elena begins to recover. She recognizes that Alexander is really there, that she's safe. But that doesn't magically make things better, for her or any of the other priests. It doesn't erase the beatings, the rapes, the mind games, the torture. All of the priests are traumatized. Steelshod tries to take care of them as best they can during the journey. It's a long way to Arcadia. Agrippa continues caring for the priests' bodies, while Hubert spends time with them trying to care for their souls. On the second day at sea, Gunnar points out a new star that's appeared in the sky, a bright comet he's never seen before. It burns in the sky above every night after that, brighter each night than the one before. Felix and Zelda spend some time getting to know the other folks in Steelshod. They may not know it yet, but welcome aboard, Felix and Zelda. They spend time on the oars, talking, dicing. Felix is happy to hear that, at least last they saw him, Lord Preston Chatsworth still lived. Felix, not one for protocol or ceremony, calls his lord Presty. Says they're of an age, been friends since they were lads. Yoren breaks into Hakon's private chambers on the ship, and pops the locks on all of his personal effects. He finds a number of Vlari ritual implements and texts, asks Hubert to examine them and dispose of them appropriately. Hubert elects to study them first, to see if he can get a better understanding of what, exactly, the Sephardic priests are doing when they harness blood for their magic. Yoren also finds one odd personal effect. A pendant with a short inscription. Gunnar translates the inscription for him. "Remember Sigrun and our oath." Then a name. Ragnar. Yoren can't make anything of it. Gunnar knows that in another clan in southern Svarden, there was once a rising jarl named Ragnar Variksson, said to be strong, just, and wise, a great leader with a great destiny. But he disappeared some 20 years ago. It's the only notable Ragnar he can think of in recent memory. Yoren also finds a rare treasure in Hakon's quarters. A bathtub. This delights Leona, who has grown rather fond of the baths Yoren insists she take on a regular basis. She hauls up seawater and heats the bath. Leona also brightens Elena's spirits, at least for a day, as she invites the Tarathi priest to join her in enjoying a nice hot bath. A simple pleasure, but Elena seems genuinely happy for a short while, a sight that almost moves Alexander to tears. When Yoren discovers that Felix is not just a bowman, but a bowyer as well, he shows the knight one of the Vartror's bows that he's collected. The Vartror bows are fairly unique, at least to Middish sensibilities. Not as long as a Cadian longbow, but heavily reflexed to provide a massive pull. Felix examines the bow and confirms he believes he could make one like it, given time and resources. They have time, so Yoren sets about getting him resources whenever they stop near enough to shore. Several days into the journey, they emerge from Shipbreaker Bay and put the Sephardic fleet behind them. They pass by the trading town of Chipspool, one of the Chatsworth holdings, and Felix's home, at least until he attached himself to the Chatsworth household. Chipspool is a smoking ruin. Steelshod sends a shore party to search for survivors, a move that shocks Felix, but in a good way, confirming that these are no common mercenaries. Felix and Zelda join the shore party, along with a handful of Steelshod and the Sons. Neither Yoren nor Alexander accompany them, so Dylan is giving the command. They sweep the town, find no survivors, but they hear howls. Not in the distance. An ambush as they try to return to the shore. A dozen Ulfshnar attack them from the ruined outskirts of Chipspool. A brief, tense fight ensues. Felix and Zelda have been outfitted with second-hand gear from Steelshod. Good enough for them. Zelda proves her valor and mettle by thrashing the Ulfshnar with a war axe. Her style emphasizes a relentless flurry of blows that leaves her opponent staggered and unable to respond. Felix has a borrowed longbow, and he proves his worth as well. Where Ben is a veritable machine gun who can pump out a stream of hard-hitting arrows to center mass, Felix is a sniper. He picks his shots carefully, and when he looses an arrow, it counts, crippling or killing most foes in a single shot. At Dylan's command, they manage to subdue a few of the Ulfshnar and take them prisoner. Then beat a retreat back to the ship. Alexander removes himself from Elena's side long enough to interrogate the Ulfshnar. Turns out one of the two speaks passable Middish. Alexander intimidates the Ulfshnar and begins a forceful interrogation. They resist him fiercely at first, but he's having none of this shit. He grapples the more resistant one, barehanded, forcing him into submission. They answer questions after that, but it's quickly made clear they don't know much. Just scouts for the main armies, opportunistically attacked Steelshod. They report to each other via howls. However, as he is interrogating them, Alexander and Yoren realize that the Ulfshnar are behaving oddly. The more aggressively they are manhandled and dominated, the more submissive they become. Finally, Alexander challenges them. He asks why they follow the Svards and Terbjornsson. The answer is simple. They follow their alpha, and the Ulfshnar alphas follow Bjornsson. Alexander tells them he has beaten them, like he beat Bjornsson at Kilchester, and he will beat them again. He puts it to them that he is their alpha now. They resist this, of course, but Alexander is more than happy to show them how true this is. And after a series of brutal unarmed fights, the two wolves are left licking their wounds, tails between their legs. They know the truth now. They have a new alpha. Welcome aboard, Hrodier and Drengi. Drengi seems to be the smarter one, certainly the one that speaks Middish passing well. Hrodier follows Drengi's lead, and now Alexander's as well. There are some misgivings in Steelshod about this, but having a way of understanding the howls seems invaluable. And besides, this is what Alexander does. If the Ulfshnar can toe the line and follow Steelshod's ethos, then there shouldn't be a problem. Hubert adds another activity into his daily routine. He begins meeting with the Ulfshnar, trying to decipher the language of the howls. The journey goes north from days to weeks. They stop at a coastal city still held by the Cadians, and learn that the Marshal and part of his army have taken to the field in eastern Cadia, chasing Bjornsson and his army. No word on what happened to Kilchester yet. There is also a rumor spreading that when word of these Fardic atrocities reached Tarathia, the Knights Serpentes were mobilized, and an army of Serpentes are now coming to Cadia to protect the faith from these invaders. Yoren has dubbed Hakon's ship the Steel Keel, and still Gunnar captains them north. By his estimate, they should pass through King's Bay and dock at Arcadia within another week's time. The comet he saw still burns bright in the sky, visible by day now, and growing larger. Thank you for tuning in to Steelshod, a series by Mostly Rights, narrated by Tailforge. You can find every chapter in text format, as well as character sheets, setting information, maps, and rule documents on the Steelshod tabletop system in the link below. If you'd like to support the channel, you can pop down to the description and use the Patreon link for recurring donations, the paypal.me link for one-time donations, the Teespring link for shirts with the incredibly cool background art by Nobody, or use the DriveThruRPG affiliate link the next time you're looking to try a new system. If you'd like to support the author, you can find Steelshod merch on the MostlyRights.com store, or donate to the Mostly Rights Patreon, which are both linked on reddit.com/r/mostlyrights down below.